this. Is climate change still the terminology used, or has it changed again? Just from my own personal experience, I'll let John and the others comment as well. Climate change is still certainly a mainstream term, but if you go to the extremists, the campaigners and the like, you will find that climate change is not really a term that is used. The one that is most commonly used now is climate emergency. They don't like the term climate crisis because it doesn't sound threatening enough, as I was told by one of the climate activists. So they want it to be a climate emergency, which is actually a legally recognized term. Emergency is a recognized term. It's there with things like terror attacks and so on and so forth in this country. We have the emergency level, which is raised depending on whether MI5 deems it to be dangerous or not. So they actually want to use this as a climate emergency akin to a present terrorist attack. So this is how seriously they're taking it, and the kind of terminology that they would use nowadays. But anyway, any quick comments from the rest of the team?
I thought it was global boiling.
Global boiling, yeah.
Yes, we've had that one in the headlines lately. Yes.
You've always been hot in Australia, though. It's nothing new.
Yeah. Well, we had the interesting headlines in yesterday's paper about how this is the hottest century ever, right, in Australia. Now, of course, being a multi-century man myself, born in one century, still living in the next, I've been alive for most of the last 100 years, right, minus 24. And I'll be honest, we've had hot years, we've had cold years. I was up at Gympie yesterday, and as a boy at Gympie, I remember having to go out and milk the cows, and it was freezing. There's frost all over the ground. There's ice on the udders almost. It was just absolutely, your hands just felt like they were being frozen off as you tried to milk the cow and then take it back to the stall, etc. Now, I haven't seen a year like that for 20 or 30 years. But neither have I seen mega droughts where we run out of water and we are so hot. You've got to sort of sit there with a cold lemonade and a fan and air conditioning and things like that. So in reality, we are doing exactly what your friend said, Joe. We are making this a climate emergency. We're not making it something as if we are part of a cycle. But then the interesting thing is, when you look at the climate records in Australia, I mean, people have been measuring the climate, since we landed? Yes. Back in the 1770s, 1780s, when the first temperature records were made, and it was hotter then. And yesterday, they published a picture in the newspaper of Tasmanian Indigenous people fishing, how clever they were when they did this. But behind them, you can see cleared land all the way that was beautifully green. And these early artists were accurate historically. That's why they're picturing them showing the Indigenous people doing what they did and doing it very well. But they cleared the land. And it wasn't in drought. It wasn't in frost. It was just beautifully green like Buckingham Palace grounds. And that's what Brisbane was like, the same. So that you get the old photographs of Brisbane, the town where I live outside of, and it's parkland. So when they talk about destroying the native forest, sorry, this was already cleared. Right, it had been cleared for hunting because boomerangs don't work in a forest, right? You can't even use spears hardly if you're chasing kangaroos through the forest. It doesn't work. So when we are looking, it's the exaggerated views that are being given us to climate change. So yeah, I think climate emergency is the most popular one, but with Craig, global boiling, that's in.